Chapter 1 Mathematics. Describe the result of adding a large positive number and a smaller negative number. The result is a smaller positive number. What is a trapezoid? A quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. How do you convert a fraction into a decimal? Divide the numerator by the denominator. What is the key step that must be performed in order to add or subtract unlike fractions? Find the least common denominator. How do you divide one fraction by another? You invert the divisor and multiply the numerators together, then multiply the denominators together. How can you convert a decimal into a percent? Method 1. Multiply by 100 and add the percent sign. Or Method 2. Move the decimal 2 places to the right and add the percent sign. How do you convert a fraction into a percent? Convert into a decimal and either multiply that decimal by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. Add the percent sign. How do you change a decimal into the nearest equivalent fraction? You multiply it by the desired denominator to get the numerator. What are two different ways that a ratio may be expressed? As a fraction, by placing a colon between the two numbers, or by using the word 2 between the two numbers. What is a proportion? A statement of equality between two or more ratios. What is meant by the root of the number? The root of a number is one of two or more equal numbers that, when multiplied together, will produce the number. How do you find the square of a number? Multiply the number by itself. What is a common method of making computations involving very large or very small numbers more manageable? Convert the numbers into scientific notation by using powers of 10. How is 100,000 expressed as a power of 10? Ten to the fifth power, because 100,000 has 5 zeros. How is 1,000,000 expressed as a power of 10? 10 to the sixth power, because 1,000,000 has 6 zeros. What formula is used to find the area of a rectangle? Area equals length times width. What formula is used to find the area of a triangle? Area equals 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. Define pi. Pi is a constant that expresses the relationship between the circumference of a circle and its diameter. It is approximately 3.1416. Describe a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a closed, four-sided figure with two parallel sides and two sides that are not parallel. What is the formula for computing the area of a circle? Area equals pi times r squared. What are positive and negative numbers called? Integers. Name some types of triangles. Isosceles, equilateral, scalene, obtuse, acute, and right. What is a mixed number? A whole number followed by a fraction. What is the hypotenuse of a triangle? It is the long side opposite of the 90-degree angle. What is a parallelogram? A four-sided object with two pairs of parallel sides, such as a rhombus. What is a polygon? A closed shape that is made up of three or more sides. What is a quadrant? It is 1/4 of a circle. What is the formula for the circumference of a circle? The circumference equals pi times the diameter. Define the term aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is the ratio of the length or span of an airfoil to its width or chord. What is the square root of 4096? 64. What is the eighth power of 2? 256. What formula is used to find the volume of a rectangular solid? Volume equals length times width times height. What formula is used to find the volume of a cylinder? Volume equals pi divided by 4 times diameter squared times height. What is an angle? A figure formed by two lines radiating from the common point. What is meant by a right angle? An angle of 90 degrees. What is an obtuse angle? An angle greater than 90 degrees, but less than a straight line. What is an acute angle? An angle between 0 and 90 degrees. What is a sector? The portion of a circle bounded by two radii and one of the intercepted arcs. What is an acute triangle? A triangle with three acute angles. What is an obtuse triangle? A triangle with one obtuse angle. What is a right triangle? A triangle containing a 90-degree angle. What is an equilateral triangle? A triangle with three equal sides. What is an isosceles triangle? A triangle with two equal sides. What is a scalene triangle? A triangle in which no two sides are equal. What is a hexagon? A closed figure with six equal sides. What is meant by a ration? A fraction that compares one number to another. For example, 6 to 2 is a ration. What is meant by a percentage? A fraction having 100 as the denominator. For example, 65% is the same as 65 over 100. What is the square of 99? 9,801. What is the cube of 5? 125. What is the cube root of 1,000? 10. What is 50 gallons converted to liters? 189.3 liters. What is 25 kilos converted to pounds? 55 pounds. How do you write 56 million in scientific notation? 56 million has 6 zeros. When converting standard notation to scientific notation, move the decimal to the left or right until there is one non-zero integer on its left. If you moved the decimal to the left, you'll multiply by 10 times the number you moved it to the left. So 56 million would be 5.6 times 10 to the 7th power. How would you write 0.0000096 in scientific notation? 9.6 times 10 to the negative 7th power. What is 3.141592 rounded to the nearest thousandth decimal point? 3.142. What is the official system of measurement used throughout the world, especially in scientific notation? the metric system. What steps are used to add signed numbers? 1. Add all numbers having a plus sign. 2. Add all numbers having a minus sign. And lastly, of these answers, subtract the smaller number from the larger number. The sign of the answer will be the sign of the larger number. What steps are used to subtract signed numbers? 1. Change the sign of the subtrahend, or the number that is being subtracted. 2. If the signs are alike, add the two numbers and attach the common sign. 3. If the signs are different, subtract the smaller from the larger and give the answer the sign of the larger. What steps are used to multiply signed numbers? 1. Multiply the numbers, disregarding the signs. 2. If the signs of the two numbers are alike, the sign of the answer is positive. 3. If the signs of the two numbers are not alike, the sign of the answer is negative. What steps are used to divide signed numbers? 1. Disregard the signs and divide as though the numbers have no signs. 2. If the signs of the two numbers are alike, the sign of the answer is positive. 3. If the signs of the two numbers are not alike, the sign of the answer is negative. What is the precedence of operations when solving an algebraic equation? This could also be asked, what is the order of operations? Firstly, we deal with grouped expressions, such as parentheses and radical expressions or square roots. Next, exponents. After exponents, multiplication and division. The very last is addition and subtraction. Define the product of an equation. The answer to a multiplication problem. Define the quotient of an equation. The answer to a division problem, sometimes still expressed as a fraction. Now we're moving into the risk management portion. These are questions that are asked in the ASA study guide. If you have the 5th edition or later, there's usually 4, 5, 6 questions of risk management at the end of every chapter. So I'm going to go through these now. What are the risks associated with incorrectly applying the precedence of operations when solving algebraic equations? Incorrectly solving algebraic equations can have serious consequences. One example is incorrectly computing the center of gravity after weighing an aircraft. An incorrectly computed center of gravity could lead to a catastrophic outcome if the aircraft is loaded outside of the actual allowable limits. What are the dangers of incorrectly applying the rules of adding and subtracting positives and negative integers? When installing and removing equipment from an airplane, it is important that the calculations are correct. Components may be either ahead or behind the datum, and thus the moments can be either positive or negative. Incorrectly applying the rules of positive and negative integers will cause the stated weight and balance of the airplane to be incorrect. What are the dangers of incorrectly rounding off calculations? Rounding off calculations too far or incorrectly can lead to many dangerous situations. This can result in replacement wires that are too small, switches and circuit breakers that are not rated sufficiently for the load of the circuit, incorrectly sized alternators, and many other dangerous situations.